right, welcome to the live stream today. So we're going to be talking about building the power system, the initial part, so the structure of the power system for Marine One, which is Thomas's van. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. So let me clean this up a little bit and we'll show you what we're working with. We've got a lot of pictures. We're going to go through just a couple pictures, give you an idea of what it looks like in the end. And then we're going to go back into the video section, which is the time lapse of me actually building the system. And that way you guys can see the 80-20 that I used. We have some other components. So we have RIGA HEKSA, which is a really cool material. We'll talk about how to strap down the batteries and some more stuff like that. So let's go ahead and show you what we're talking about. So let me get, and we'll go through these a bunch. Don't worry like you're going to miss out. We'll do this stream for quite some time. Essentially, this is what you're looking at. So the requirements that we kind of put down on paper for Thomas's van started with the Paragolfer. If you haven't watched our live streams, the van that we built for Thomas is built around his Paragolfer. And we'll show that in something a little bit later, but we'll get back to the batteries. Anyway, it's essentially a golf cart, a battery-powered golf cart that goes into the back of the van. And we needed a system to not only run everything in the van, but also charge the Paragolfer batteries. So essentially, it's a golf cart battery charging system. So if you've ever had the batteries in a golf cart, this system has about 2 of those. So it's probably, we calculated about 200 amp hours. So we wanted to have at least a system that could charge it one time, but still have enough remaining power to operate the rest of the stuff in the van, and then just a little bit of gap to have time to recharge the system. So we went with a Cotec SP3000 inverter, and this inverter is able to couple with the Red Arc system, which is this box right here. And then that box, this is the charging system itself. This is a 30 amp charger. So this will connect to, it's called the Manager 30, and then this will connect to the main battery for the engine. It'll also accept the power from the solar panels. And so this is pretty much the controller that charges the batteries. And then this is a little bit of what the final system looked like. Now, we obviously covered this up, cleaned it up, put a little bit of acrylic glass in there. It'll look really nice. All right, so let's go ahead and get into some of the videos. Now, one video that we started off with is on our last live stream, we talked about the Murphy bed system. So the Murphy bed and this power system go hand in hand, because the power system is going to be the structure that the Murphy bed actually settles down on and rests on. So once we found out the height and we got our measurement for that, we can really just move forward and get the Murphy bed out of the way, and we can start working on putting together where all these batteries are going to rest. So we got the Murphy bed, we moved it out of the way, and then I'm going to pause it right, wait, let me go back. There we go. So I'll pause it right here. So this is a sheet of RIGA HEKSA. And so what I'll do is I'm going to quickly show you what this is. So it's essentially birch plywood that's laminated. And on one side, it has this kind of grippy texture, and it's plastic. And then on the back side, it's smooth. You can kind of actually see a little bit of the wood grain. But it's a really cool product. I saw a van use, so an adventure wagon that we did the interior conversion on this van behind me. Adventure Wagon was using this product, and I wanted to get more of it so I could tie it in. The base of the van actually has that product, and I wanted to tie in my battery system with this. And so when Thomas's van came along, we paused on this and we started working on his, and I wanted to use this because the kind of theme that he was going for was kind of a little bit of like 80-20 kind of tactical type stuff, and this looks perfect. So we started with this sheet, and they do make it in a 4x8 sheet. So if we go over here, let me just back this up. If we go here, and let's go here. So we've got this RIGA HEKSA birch plywood. Now this is West Wind Hardwood Incorporated. Again, no affiliation. This is just me giving you guys some examples. I purchased it from Penn Elcom, and again, no association with them, but apparently I checked over today and I don't think they actually carry that anymore. So this company is pretty cool because they make flight case hardware. So if you guys don't know what flight cases are, you know, musicians and stuff like that, bands, they use this to house their equipment, you know, DJ production companies. And that RIGA HEKSA is that board that they use. So it's really durable, and it's kind of got that texture on the side of it. But for some reason, I don't, maybe it's right here. Yeah, I looked through here earlier before the stream, and I can't see that they sell it anymore. So this is a company, they're actually out of Vancouver, and this is the product. So a little bit better detailed photo. You guys can see how many plies it is, and it does come in that big sheet. However, I had to get mine cut into pieces because Penn Elcom, they actually could not ship it via UPS to me in this size, which kind of stunk, but hey, I might be getting it from this company now. But there's the texture that you see, kind of like this, pattern on top. I really like it. If we go back to, let's see here, if we go to our video, what I did is I got the contour of, here, let's go to our drawing pad so I can show you what we're doing here. Yep, we'll come back to that. So on the video, what I did is I took the contour of the wheel well, and I really wanted to use this insulated wheel well cover. So you see right there, I've got this cover, and Thomas had put that in his van. I really wanted to reuse that, but it was not possible to fit the batteries in here. This van, we were working with extremely tight tolerances with everything from the fridge, the sink, moving the AC unit, the water tank. He has this aluminum ramp that's folded up in the back. I mean, everything in the van is just like a 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch away from each other. I mean, everything really, really had to be ultra precise. So I wanted to use this over here, but I wasn't able to. And let me see if I can find that pin. Drawing pad pin. Trying to see where that, here, I think it's right here. There we go. So we'll go over here to the pad, and I want to do this There's our stuff from yesterday. So I'm going to draw this just to show you what we're going to talk about today. Make it a little bit more organized of a conversation. So this is the back panel of the van, okay? And then we have our wheel well that extends out, just like that. So make this a little bit neater. Here we go. Okay, so we got our wheel well. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk step by step. We're going to work by making our rear panel first. Then we're going to come in with our 80-20 frame, and we're going to come out from that and start to build that frame that's going to be able to hold our batteries. We're going to measure the distance that we need. Continue to build our 80-20. And since we were doing the Murphy bed, this distance right here, we already know what that distance is. So that's a fixed distance. So our orientation of our batteries inside here has to make it to where this is not changed. Okay? So we got that going on. And then we'll show you how I actually went in, arranged the batteries. Then we strapped them down. We added our inverter. And then we have our Manager 30. Well, actually, we have our Manager 30 over here. And then over here, we have our Victron Links distributor. So that is kind of the plan. So let's go ahead and start walking through this. So we've got our wheel well cover that we can't use. And the next step is we got to start stuffing this thing with some insulation because there's a lot of glass in this van. So everywhere that we can put Havelock wool, we're going to. And the reason you want to do this first is once you build your battery system, it's going to be impossible to get back into these areas. So this is now the time to insulate. Now the Havelock we used is Havelock right here. So this is wool. And you guys, if you are on YouTube, you watch people building their vans, Havelock wool is great. It is fire retardant. It is doesn't allow the growth of mold and stuff like that. It's kind of antimicrobial properties, and it does a really great job. And it's a natural product as well. A little bit more technical of a product. It's more expensive. Is the 3M Thinsulate, and so this is what's in that van back there. This is really nice because it's hydrophobic, so it doesn't like to attract water. And then there's a couple different kinds. This has a black back and a black face. Some will just have a black back, and then the face right here will just be the white. So there's different types that you can get. So I use this in the van back there. We use the Havelock in Marine 1. And so right here we have, we're putting in the insulation. Now we can't put it in on the left side. And the reason that we can't put it in over here is because Thomas has an automatic sliding door. And if we ever needed to repair that door in the future, that panel can come out. You'd have to remove the batteries and then move the 80-20, pull out the RIGA HEKSA to access it. But during the meantime, we don't want that line, and there's a line inside, like a cable, and we don't get that getting wrapped up on the Havelock. So we left that left side open, but I figured out a plan on how to insulate it anyway. So this next video will show you what I did. What we're doing is we are putting in the 80-20 bar, and if you guys watched the video, live stream yesterday, we talked about the this plus nut or riv nut right here. So we got the riv nuts drilled into the van right there in the back, and then what we've done is we go and we mark. So what I'm doing is I'm marking where each of those drill points need to be so that I can take the 80-20 out, through hole drill, and then when I come back, I can slide in my socket head cap screws in the channel of the 80-20. So this is pretty cool. So here, check this out. Let me get a screw. See if I can find a longer screw for an example. So what you're going to do is you're going to drill through your 80-20, and then you're going to take your bolt, you're going to slide it in the channel. So this bolt is a 5/16-18 socket head cap screw, and it fits in this 15 series 80-20 perfectly. So you're going to slide it in here, and then the hole that you drilled on the opposite side here, that's what you're going to put your Allen wrench in, and then that way you're able to tighten this against the van. It's a really cool trick. That way you don't have to do it from the outside, waste a longer bolt, plus have this protruding from this outside. Just a little hack. You can put it on the inside and drill a hole through to access the head. So that's what I did here. All right, fast forward a little bit. See, I've got the holes drilled. And can I zoom? I can't zoom in. All right, so if you look, now I've got the Havelock cut out to the shape of the RIGA HEKSA board. And I'm just double checking everything. Got the RIGA HEKSA. Again, I'm still trying to use that fender cover. I end up actually not being able to use it. You'll see it here. There we go. And so I decided to just use Havelock on top of it, because the whole point is just to keep it insulated, both for road noise and for thermal thermal stuff. All right, so, and then what I'm doing is I'm just enclosing that RIGA HEKSA board on the left, if you guys can see that. And so that's the coolest thing about the, I didn't. I'll go back over that. Here, let me show you. We'll go back over that video. I didn't realize I didn't change it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the 80-20 like that, and so make your frame, and then this channel in here, the RIGA HEKSA actually, as you guys can see, it actually fits down in here, and look at that. It's a super, very, very clean. Wish I had more room here. Let's see, there you go. That's what I was trying to do. See, it's a very clean look. Very pro looking thing. Now, you'd say, Nick, this is going to rattle. Well, you're exactly right. It will rattle. So there's a fix for that. And I put this everywhere in Thomas's van. Thomas loves to listen to music, loves car audio. He's really into listening to music very loud. So I knew that ahead of time, so I found this on Amazon. This is felt. This is felt tape. And what's really cool is I took this felt tape, and on any panel, it doesn't matter if it was a RIGA HEKSA or a wood panel, I taped on this felt. And not only did it hold the RIGA HEKSA into this channel better, it made everything in the van super quiet. So you could knock on any panel. There wasn't a rattle. It just sounded really, really good. And so right here, I'll show you what I did. We stopped using that. We put Havelock cut to the size of the RIGA HEKSA. and then we put it in, replace the wheel well cover with Havelock, and then eventually in here you'll see that I'll put the felt right here. Over here where my hand is, we're actually putting a 12-inch JL Audio sub. So I know we have to cover all this up and then also do some Dynamat and really keep this thing just rattle free. All right, so we did that, made our way, and we started to figure out, you know, I went to the drawing board and I actually, here, I'm gonna go pull up one of our pictures. So this picture right here, this is how I originally, let's see if I can rotate this. There you go. This is how I originally wanted to install the power system in Thomas's van. I wanted to put the inverter like this, and this is more for aesthetics. The inverter up here was nice because it would be the depth of the batteries. We'd have 1 battery, 2, 3, 4. So this actually worked. Inverter here, the red arc here, and then where the wheel well was, that minimal distance, we were able to put our Lynx distributor, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then really just wire everything together. The problem was, and I'll go over here to our drawing pad, the problem was that this had already been established, the Murphy bed. And this distance right here, we couldn't change. So that orientation just we had to do away with that. So instead of doing this, we went with what you guys saw, which was this. So instead of the batteries going widthwise, they went lengthwise. So that length kicked out the inverter, it put it on the bottom, and then we still had a room over here for like the Lynx distributor over here in the bottom. So let's get these videos back out. All right, so we're making our way. We've already cut out our ends right here because we know how far that we can go. Now, to be honest, I needed to take another 1.5 inches off of here, but I was trying to push it because I was thinking that I could have the Murphy bed come in 3 inches instead of 1.5 inches, and we would be okay. But that ended up looking weird, and this inverter actually ended up being lifted up 1.5 inches and going back 1.5 inches, which was pretty much up against this panel. And that's what I actually had to do. So if you notice right here, you see how this part has extended into the Murphy bed. So what we did is eventually you'll see me cut off 1.5 inches so that it's just flush. It worked out better. Okay, so we've got our back panel finished. It is insulated. Now let's see if okay, I think I missed a part of the video for you guys. There we go, okay. So check this out. I got an idea of how big this Havelock needed to be. And so I learned a technique from the Adventure Wagon install. They had double-sided, very wide double-sided tape. So I used wide double-sided tape and I put it on the back here so that the Havelock would not settle down over time. It keeps it up and it doesn't allow it to fall. I put the 80/20 back in, covered up the wheel well, and we're starting to move from the back and make our way towards the inner part of the van. Next, again, we did the inverter. We made sure that it was fitting. Eventually, you guys will see that the inverter itself gets moved. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and map out this right here. So this is where the batteries are actually going to sit. They're going to sit on this panel. So I'm just, kind of contemplating. There's a lot of thinking when you're building vans. All right, and then the next thing we do is we start to get a little bit deeper in making the frame and building that out, trying to figure out the best way to mount this inverter. So now we just, as you notice, we're having to take this apart and put it back together, take it apart, put it back together. That just kind of goes with the territory when you're doing custom work. You can do as much as you want to on the computer, you can do engineering drawings, you can do all that stuff, but every now and then something is going to not fit right, regardless of how much you know. So we get the back brace, and so that's going to allow the RIGA HEKSA to slide into and actually support the batteries. And then now I'm just figuring out how much I can get away with coming into the van. Then I go ahead and pick up one of the batteries. So we're using SOK 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries. I like the SOK because price-wise they're very good for the value of what you get. They're actually fully serviceable. You can take them out. You can replace the cells if you need to. So right here, I'm just figuring out how to get these batteries supported. And again, aesthetics matter because as I'm building this out, I'm always wanting to think about what the final look of this is going to be. And I kind of have like a Steve Jobs mentality when I build things, that if you took this apart, the inside would be just as nice as the outside. So if you look, all these little, I'll give you guys an example. Let's see here. I'll give an example when we go to the photos. All right, so we got our frame, and so now I'm trying to find out how to fit one more piece of the RIGA HEKSA right there in front to clean up this. And finally, as you can see, we've got a perfect fit with the batteries on this resting on the 80/20 on the back and the front. Now this front part is actually going to get a piece of aluminum, a 2-inch piece of aluminum, and it's going to be a lip, and that lip is going to allow the batteries to not slide forward. So we go ahead and, again, take everything apart, put it back together, take it apart, put it back together. All right, we're starting to understand how this is going to work for our inverter. Again, I keep trying to add this 1.5 inches and make it work because I really don't want the inverter sitting so far back. It's okay, but I'd like to have a little bit more space. But we just didn't have the space, because I really wanted to make sure that that 1.5 inches did not affect the Paragolfer when it was loaded into the van. So we're just working away. As you can see what I'm doing right now, I'm putting the felt tape on the batteries themselves. So now the batteries on the edge here, they're not going to scuff themselves. So you see right there, it slides in. That way they won't rattle, they won't scuff against each other, they won't make noise. And that's kind of all behind the scenes. And then there's a final piece of 80/20 on the very left, and that is going to hold the batteries going from forwards to backwards. So in a minute we'll have an aluminum lip that'll keep it from going towards the inside of the van. That 80/20 on the left keeps it from, if Thomas has a slam on the brakes, the batteries aren't going to go all over the place. The back is already structured because we're going to add another column right there on the right. And now again, we're really just kind of scratching our heads because we're really trying to make everything fit. So I'm just going back and forth, back and forth. You can see I'm taking the Murphy bed and I'm trying to figure out how I want to make this operate. And then first I thought, you know what, I need to have a 80/20 metal bar tying everything down. I eventually changed that, and use straps that you guys will see here in just a minute. This is where I originally had the Manager 30 and the red arc and everything. But as far as the process went along, we have so many cables in this build that they just kept taking up all the space, and everything had to kind of get redone into a different setup. This is the first time that the Murphy bed actually has a section to rest on. And then we're coming through here, and then now I'm trying to figure out how do I want to have this the red arc power system as well as the links distributor mounted in this van. Again, it really could go anywhere, but this is more visual. But at the same time, since aesthetics are really driving where everything's going to go, we need to find our location because I'll pause this and talk to you guys about that. You need to make sure that you have all those components in their home or a place that's really close to being their permanent home, because if you don't, when you start to run the wires, you're going to run a wire, let's say 8 or 10 feet. But then if you change your mind and you need to move that component 2 more feet, you've taken a very expensive cable, because it's likely a 2-watt or a 4-watt power cable coming directly from the battery to the links distributor or your bus bar, wherever you're distributing the power, 12-volt power. And you've already cut it, and now it's further away, and it is very dicey to crimp, do a terminal connection, and then try to extend that again. You can do it, but it's just not a good practice. So get all your stuff where all your components in their home, where you really, really think they're going to be, before you ever pull wire, strip, or cut wire. All right, moving right along. So now I'm trying to find out where I'm going to put this Manager 30. And I'm just contemplating, as you guys can see right there. And there's really no place to put it. There's just not enough room. So I keep working, keep thinking. And so this is actually where we, let's see here. I actually may not have that part on video. Let's check this out. All right, so I think that's all I had for this video run, showing you how I put it in there. Yep, that was the last video. Let's just double check. Yep, okay. So if we back up, so just to give you a good idea, this is the structure. Okay, this is how I built the battery system. Now we're going to go to some of the photos, and that way they'll give it a little bit better detail about how this thing ended up looking. So this was a picture of, what we didn't actually go with, but I want to reference this because it's really good to put everything out on a table, use tape, and kind of play around with how it's going to be laid out. That way you just, measure twice, cut once type of mentality. This was our pretty much final phase. We only had 2 posts that you could probably see in one of those videos that allowed us to use it for structure later in the video. And then right here we have, let's see here. So we actually ended up mounting the red arc to the rear of the power system. And that Steve Jobs quote, mentality. You can see very neat on all the brackets, all the things in the corner, just very, very nice and neat. And this is closer to what we had. So we have our main disconnect here. This plate down here was supposed to be for some temperature control fans, but we're going to put that in a separate relay and we're going to redo this panel. But this is where our battery disconnect was, so that we can disconnect this from outside the van easily or inside the van. So again, there's that RIGA HEKSA that we were using, worked out really well. This one, let's see if we can spin it around. There we go. So we use these tie-down straps, and they worked out excellent to hold the batteries down. Again, they're not like an 80/20 bar that's aluminum and can conduct electricity. So they were a safer option, plus I think they did a great job. They're easy to undo. We have our disconnects with our lugs, and again, we're just planing everything out for our next steps. This is eventually where the subwoofer is going to go. And then we have our connections to our inverter. But you can kind of see how just step by step, 80/20 is really awesome to use. I mean, it's pretty much like Legos. I mean, you're cutting it, bolting stuff in, and you can get a very safe, strong system to hold your power system. And here we're just test fitting our connections to all the batteries. You can get the 80/20 in the smooth finish, so that anything that's going to be showing on the outside, it's nice and clear. This just shows you a detail of how the Murphy bed is interacting with this system. So there's a post that goes straight up and down here. And then this was the final spot where these two units were put together. And there's another photo. Let me see if I can find. I'm going to try to find this photo here. There's a photo of battery build. One. Okay, saw that one. Where is the other battery? There you go. So Night Eyes is what we used. So you can actually find these at Lowe's. And what's nice is they have a rubber backing right here to the buckle. So when you pull it down, the metal doesn't scrape against this battery system itself. You guys can see here, this is where the Murphy bed laid down onto that flush mounted 80/20 piece. And so this really put together the box for us. And that was pretty much it. So I'll kind of leave with this photo showing the whole entire system. So you have your system on the left that's holding the water tank. It's pretty much the same structure as the battery system, and shows you how you can have the water system, the Murphy bed, and the battery system all come together as one unit. All right, guys, that was a pretty short live stream today. If you guys have any question, put those in the comments below. Questions on batteries to use, the size, orientation, different components. We will be doing a deep dive into 12-volt power systems in a future stream, talking about how to set up a basic system, different types of fuses, disconnect switches that you might need. We already went over a couple of things on the cables and tools to actually get the system started. But as far as power layout, haven't done that yet. So again, if you have any question, put those in the comments below. Happy to do that in a future live stream. And we'll see you guys in the next video.